campers.
Hello.
I'm Spike.
I'm Chris.
And we are geeking out.
Geeking out.
Jinkies.
Oh, no.
It's been a rough.
We're going to start with that. Then
Rough.
I want to put this in first place.
It's been a rough couple of weeks for HBO Max. VELMA. Let's go ahead. Everybody else on the planet has poo-pooed this already.
Oh, it has been major poo-pooed on.
Yeah, let's talk about this. VELMA. The Scooby-less VELMA. Hopefully Scooby-less VELMA, because as of episode 2 coming out, apparently Scooby is now identifies as a black female.
Yes. Yes.
Do forgive the lighting in here. We're still trying to figure out the new library and stuff. What were you saying about the new Scooby?
The new Scooby? Oh, well, let's see. Where do I begin with this VELMA show? Here's the thing. So, it's not the fact that people have issues. Okay. All right. Okay. Are you ready for this?
Nah.
All right. So, the woman who does the voice for VELMA said on a late show that it's mostly because of racism that the show is getting, because of the fact of the race lift in the show. But actually, according to hardcore Scooby-Doo fans, that's actually not the problem. It's the fact that none of the characters act like the original characters.
Yeah. This is essentially
A dumpster fire?
well, it's
Dumpster fire.
okay. There are so many ways. I've been thinking about this for a while. There's so many ways to start. Let's just go ahead and say, we've talked before about what it's like when you trash an intellectual property that you've been handed.
Yes.
Mindy Kaling
That's right, yes.
is the so-and-so she's writer, executive producer, yada yada on VELMA, okay? Mindy Kaling, this is not her first rodeo. This is like her third or fourth show. Mindy Kaling is an example of failing up, okay? She is correct on one thing, okay? The reaction to this show is racist, but not in the way she intends. As usual, with all of these justice warriors doing their own particular type of pop culture, they get to the truth, but they do it in the wrong direction. Okay? Mindy Kaling has 3 qualifications that put her in charge of the VELMA project. She is female, she is brown, and she was on The Office. And she has failed up ever since. Whoever at Warner Brothers greenlit this project needed to tick off female producer, a brown producer, and somebody with a track record of success, and that's Mindy Kaling. She takes off all 3. She had precious little to do with the success of The Office. I'm not going to say she had nothing, because she actually did write a couple of episodes of it. She's done a couple of projects since then. I couldn't tell you any of them, but hey. But Mindy Kaling came out of that generation with Jordan Peele and a bunch of others that, to one extent or another, has been successful or not. In this case, blatantly unsuccessful. Does not treat the intellectual property with respect. She probably knows the basics of Scooby-Doo, but I guarantee you, even if she is a fan of Scooby-Doo, what she's doing is she's writing a show that she thinks is clever, and it's not. It is failing miserably in just about every metric. There will be no merchandising here. Believe me, Warner Brothers wanted merchandising. They wanted VELMA to succeed so they can merchandise this, and so they can finally get away from the Scooby-Doo part of it with the Great Dane. Scooby-Doo is a Great Dane. They want to get away from the dog so they can have human characters, and they need to be diverse. So now suddenly Velma is black. Suddenly Fred is, well, he's a stereotypical white guy with a shrinky dinky. And
Shaggy's a drug dealer.
Shaggy's a drug dealer, and he's black. The reason he's a drug dealer is because he's black, because only black people deal drugs, according to Mindy Kaling and her ilk. Mindy Kaling is correct that this is the reason Velma is getting the reaction it is because of racism. It is racism from the people at Warner Brothers who put a totally unqualified creator like Mindy Kaling in charge of their intellectual property. Their racism, they wanted those boxes ticked. Their racism is responsible for Velma existing to begin with. If this show did not exist, Mindy Kaling would not be taking this much heat. Or she might, but she would be doing it with a different intellectual property. The people who come from this generation, and we'll actually get a little more into this because we do have episodes of Back Rack Video and Chore of Duty coming out this week, believe it or not. We got a lot to make up for. On the Chore of Duty, we're going to be talking about the difference between justice and peace, and we'll talk about that a little on. Anyway, so the reason why Velma exists and is as it is indeed because of racism. So she actually has a point. She just didn't realize she had made it, actually, to her own detriment. So,
well, either which way, it's getting a second season, which I don't know how, because the audience score is 6%.
The audience score is 6%. The critic score is 55%, which shows you just how far in the bag the critics are with any of these projects, as long as a phony baloney point is being made. They don't care about the entertainment value. They don't care about the residual value. They don't care about building the intellectual property, as long as a stupid phony baloney point is made. And again, we'll talk about justice and why it is not very good for anybody on the Chore of Duty this week. Programming note. Stay tuned. What else you got, Chris? Something has happened. It's been, 3 weeks since we did an episode? Sure, of Geekin Out. Surely something besides Velma has happened. Not really. It's going to be a short episode. So, it's good, because we got 3 episodes filmed.
I got a bunch of cards here.
Well, let's knock them out. Let's go into some of the other things that are going on, and I'll tell you whether I want to talk about it or not. Either that or I'll take your cards away.
Well, then it is going to be a short episode then.
That's the idea.
Sadly, Lisa Marie Presley passed away. Again, this is late news. But yeah.
Relatively late, but Lisa Marie Presley, bless her little heart, she suffers from Keith Richards syndrome. She did all the drugs. And when you do all the drugs, and you're not Keith Richards, who is actually a reanimated Egyptian mummy / zombie / when you don't have that, then you're going to do serious irreparable damage to yourself. And that's exactly what Lisa Marie did. So. Yeah.
She passed away at 54. She did get the chance to attend the Golden Globe Awards, which is also on the list of things to talk about. But she got to see the movie, the Elvis movie, win.
Yeah.
And stuff. So
that was cool. So bye-bye, Lisa Marie.
Jeremy Renner.
That poor guy.
That poor guy was, as you all may have already heard by now, Jeremy Renner, the star of Hawkeye, the Avengers, all that, was in a freak accident with a snowplow.
He was run over by a snowplow on his property.
Yes.
Oof.
There is a good chance that he may lose his leg. There is no more news on that as for right now. If he has, I think they're just waiting to see what might happen. So,
as we tweeted that on the Who What Where Twitter account, pray for him and pray for people, for his family and stuff to get through this, and hopefully he makes it through in one piece.
Yeah, because he's a great actor. I like him.
He's a nice guy. He just does his thing, and he just has no craps to give. So.
That's true.
And Renner will be the first to tell you he has no craps to give. What else we got?
Michael Bay is being charged for animal cruelty after a pigeon apparently was killed while filming Transformers 6.
I don't care. Is he filming in California?
I do not know. Probably.
That would explain a lot. But the Humane Society of the United States, HSUS, has been around for years and years. They're not quite the ASPCA, which is the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. The Humane Society basically works to make sure that, along similar lines, but while the ASPCA actually does run some animal shelters, Humane Society has taken on more of a regulatory role. They actually copyrighted no animals were harmed in the production in this production or in the making of this movie or whatever. They actually copyrighted that, so now if you're an animal justice warrior, then you see that at the end of the credits, then you'll know, okay, so they paid off the Humane Society to come in since we didn't kill anybody. So needless to say, that's not going to be in, or actually it probably will be at the end of Transformers 6. But frankly, I'm more worried about Transformer 6 killing brain cells more than killing a stray pigeon. There's nothing wrong with squab, by the way, but I don't want to eat it.
True.
What you got, Chris?
Okay, so we got a couple of rants. I got a couple of rants.
He's got rants.
Of course, as you know, EZRA Miller, who plays the Flash, is coming back and is being kept on as the Flash. He played guilty of burglary. And that's pretty much, that is it. All the other charges seem to have been dropped. And there was a lot of
paid off. Yeah,
there was a lot of charges. Now the reason why I'm ranting about this, and this leads into the other news as well. The way DC is going right now, with James Gunn firing Henry Cavill as Superman, but yet they decide to keep EZRA Miller.
Remember we were talking about failing up?
He's
definitely somebody who fails
yeah.
up. He clicks that metrosexual box, and that's not so much a diversity hire. That's more of the fact that you have metrosexuals producing these things, and they want a metrosexual like EZRA Miller involved. So
yeah, but DC is just, I don't know what they're doing.
And James Gunn isn't going to come right out and tell you either. So.
Exactly, and that's what kills me, and that's what's killing a bunch of fans, because right now fans are just like, what's going on here? Now this will, again, this leads into this next news. It has been greenlit for Matt Reeves' sequel to the Batman series. Even though James Gunn has came out and says, we're not doing no more, Batman and stuff. We're focusing on Superman, a younger Superman, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, but we're revamping Matt Reeves' Batman.
Batman anyway.
Twilight.
Sparkle Batman. That's what we called him 2 years ago when they went into production. It's again, you're failing up. The Sparkle Batman actually made a little bit of change, so they're going to go ahead and they're just going to ride that pony right into the ground. So yeah,
it's just, I don't know what's going on. I do have, like, my rant can go on and on, but
DC Universe right now is still in better shape than Marvel, mainly because DC has not been putting out the stuff that Marvel has been putting out. Marvel is not only on the rocks, but it's been splayed open and had its entrails smeared all over the beach.
Probably big
They're,
time.
they're already talking about switching over to Phase 5 and in the MCU, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. The only way you're going to get anybody to care is bring Robert Downey Jr. back, and that's just not going to happen either, because he's going to be the next Brainiac in the new Superman movie whenever they get around to making it. I don't know if he's going to be Brainiac, but the scuttlebutt has it that they're trying to get Robert Downey Jr. over to the DC side of things. So,
wow.
and if he needs 9-digit paydays, by golly, Warner will give it to him to have him come on over.
Wow.
But have Robert Downey Jr. as Brainiac, not Lex Luthor, and I actually tweeted this out too. But not as Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor's been done to death. We don't need another Lex Luthor story, just like we don't need another Superman origin story. Have Robert Downey Jr. in as a really suave, smooth-talking Brainiac. And then you can have EZRA Miller as Crypto. So, little dog anyway. Little what?
That was very good. That was very good.
What you got, Chris? You said you got 2 rants.
No, that was Matt Reeves and
Matt
Ezra
Reeves,
Miller.
Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
That'll do it. Yeah. What else you got?
So the 80th Golden Globes happened. And
did anybody actually watch the 80th Golden Globes?
I think they just wanted to see how much of a dumpster fire that there was, and also see what was going to happen with Brendan Fraser, who did not show up.
They can't blame him.
Yeah, can't blame him at all for that. But things like Austin Butler, who played Elvis, won for Best Actor.
Yeah. To be honest, I've heard a lot of talk about the Golden Globes, but I don't know any of the results. I didn't hear a single bit who won anything.
Well, now there's some very interesting ones here that honestly is worthy talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, Eddie Murphy got a huge award. Got the I'm going to butcher this name. Cecil B.
Cecil B. DeMille.
Thank you.
One of the greatest producers in movie history.
I can never
Movie geek.
Well, I can't pronounce the name though. I can't pronounce the name.
Cecil B. DeMille.
Cecil, yes.
That guy.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, that guy. Anyway, got the award. So Eddie Murphy got up there, gave a great speech, and
nobody paid attention to it.
Well, I don't know about that. It was great to see him actually be presented about something good. Michelle Yeoh, who got Best Actress for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which is a really big deal because she's been in the acting game for a very long time. She has done everything from being stunt woman to acting, and from foreign films to now, and it's just wild. So the fact that she got Best Actress, good for her. She deserves it.
Okay.
And oh my goodness, why I read these names and I'm just I'm going to butcher it. So I'm going to call him Data from Goonies.
I have no idea who that is. I've never watched the Goonies. I will never watch the Goonies.
Short route from Indiana Jones.
That kid, why in the world is he still kicking around?
No. This guy is the most sweetest guy ever. Seriously.
Give me the name. Which one is it?
Kiko.
Yeah, you can have that one.
Yeah. Anyways,
I ain't even try that one.
I feel bad. He is an amazing person. I've seen interviews with him, and there's actually this clip on that you can find on YouTube where at another award show that, not the Golden Globes, but it was a different award show where Brendan Fraser won an award for his portrayal in The Whale. He actually went to that one and got the award. And there's this moment where he's coming backstage, and Brendan Fraser just walks out, and Data from Goonies and Indiana Jones sees him, and they run and hug each other, and it's just like everybody's back going like, oh, because these are two icons that was actually beaten up in Hollywood and is now having their rise and acknowledge of existence. And these guys deserve so much. So it's amazing to see these two actually make it.
That's nice. That's nice.
And there was also apparently there's a story that he told where him and Brandon did a movie a long time ago together, and they've been best friends ever since. And he also told a story about how Steven Spielberg never forgot him and actually every year gave him a birthday present. And they had a huge touching reunion as well, because Steven Spielberg, his movie The Fabelmans won Best Picture of the Year.
And nobody knew it came out.
Which is sad, because I hear good things. And as someone that loves films, that's what the movie's about. It's about just filmmaking and the magic of movies. So, yeah.
Okay, moving on. What you got, Chris?
Speaking of Steven Spielberg, John Williams, who literally came out, and we reported this, said that he was retiring and everything. But he came out and said, if Steven Spielberg does another movie and ask him to come back to do the music, he will say yes in a heartbeat.
Of course he will. It's Steven Spielberg. Look, go back through the Spielberg catalog. You will see John Williams on nearly every score, because the two are just on the same wavelength. Spielberg knows just how important a film score, the music, not just the songs that hit the radio, but the score behind the action, the quiet scenes, the heavy scenes, the action scenes, all of them depend so much upon the musical score in order to really establish the mood, the presence, the pacing and everything. Those two get each other, and they work together, and absolutely John Williams, as long as he's sucking wind, and Steven Spielberg is sucking wind, if Spielberg ever decides he's got the hots to do something, Williams be right there with him. So, and I won't mind a bit, because I love listening to John Williams scores, because the man is one of the very few people left, not just in Hollywood, but in the entire entertainment industry, who can take an entire full orchestra and take it exactly where he needs it to go. Nobody else in Hollywood can handle an orchestra like John Williams can. So,
that's true.
So,
I totally agree.
There.
Oh, heck yeah.
So what else you got, Chris?
All right, this is a little far off topic.
Yeah.
But United States government, military, whoever it is, has released 510 new documents of UFOs exist. As the whole world pretty much sat there and be like, yeah, we know this.
I remember a few years back, Trump was the one who started the ball rolling on this one. Oh, we're gonna release all the UFO stuff. Nobody cared. Nobody cared then, okay? Because we already had Art Bell doing the nighttime radio shows and stuff. He covered it ad nauseum, and so everybody was like, we're used to it now. Okay, so we're used to that idea. And okay, so you release the UFO files. How many alien beings were put out as how much proof of alien life was included in any of these documents?
Exactly. It's like, flying saucer, yeah.
You got it? No. We're not talking about flying saucers. We're talking about unidentified flying objects. We couldn't tell what kind of spacecraft, what kind of aircraft it was, what kind of spacecraft it was. We don't know what in the heck it was. It fell to Earth. It soared up into the sky. We don't know where it came from. It's a UFO. Not a flying saucer. There's a difference. It was a UFO. So everybody pretty much just collectively went, oh. The same way a lot of people have reacted within this past week. Story came out that Richard Nixon was the one who was trying to get the CIA files on the Kennedy assassination released, and that's why he was taken down with Watergate. Because every one of the plumbers involved in the Watergate break-in had a tie to the CIA in one way or another. They were the ones who set him up, they were the ones who tore him down because he was... Now the story comes out, not only was Nixon involved, but the CIA was actually involved in the assassination, and nobody cares because Mindy Kaling is dumping all over Velma. Okay, whatever. Y'all do you.
I heard
y'all do you, boo. I'm done.
I heard one on Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
How he was actually still alive, and they killed him at the hospital. And the doctor put a pillow over his head and suffocated him and stuff like that. And I was like,
I don't know, it depends on whether his sister was one of the people Dr. King was banging. No, that's not terribly common knowledge, but yeah, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. was a notorious horn dog. And so, yeah, one of those do as I say, not as I do types. Anyway. But hey, he led some freedom marches, made sure he put his face in front, did a much better job of the marketing than like Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton or the Elijah Muhammad ever did. So there you go. That's what gets us kicked off YouTube.
I was like,
I'm supposed to save that for the chore of duty, but I don't have time for it on the chore of duty. Yeah. So
moving on.
Yeah, there you go.
Moving on.
Sorry.
Moving on.
Truth hurts. Go. What you got, Chris?
Well, I mean, some of my dreams was just crushed, I think.
You're welcome. I do that a lot. What you got, Chris?
All right, last news.
Yay.
Some awesome things come to the public domain.
If they're allowed to stay there. Go ahead.
So the public domain released a bunch of stuff, and here we go.
Yeah.
So, Putting on the Ritz is now public domain. The song Putting on the Ritz.
But not the taco version. Taco version. No, it was taco. I don't know. It was one of those guys. Not that version, the original version of Putting on the Ritz. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. Metropolis, the great scientific movie that came out.
Okay, it's great. You can now watch Metropolis like you can watch Night of the Living Dead because.
Yes.
But the problem is, if you look at the public domain copy of Night of the Living Dead, it's murky, it's dark, it's garbled, it's hard to tell what's going on all the time. You need a digitally restored file in order to really get a good view of what they were trying to do in the film, and that one is under copyright. That's how you renew a copyright on something. Sure, Night of the Living Dead is in public domain, but the version you can actually watch isn't. Same thing with Metropolis. The original Metropolis is in public domain, great. But if you've got a print that wasn't made in 1920 whatever, it's still under copyright. So, Now, that's where the UCLA Film Archive restoration guys get in there and try to take an original print and try to bring it up to modern standards and stuff. That usually gets entered back into the public domain. So, if it was in the public domain to begin with. But they do a lot of restoration work, which is good on them. What else you
got? Wings, which is the first movie to ever win Best Picture.
I'm not aware of that one. Oh well.
I think that's the one. Isn't it the one that what is his name? Howard Hughes.
Probably.
Did
he had the hots for things with wings?
Yeah, I think it.
He liked hot wings.
And then the best for last on this public domain. Every freaking thing that has to do with Sherlock Holmes, all the movies, all the books are public domain.
In the United States. Not necessarily in Great Britain, but in the United States, Sherlock Holmes is now in the public domain, which means now we're going to get to see Sherlock Holmes
Horror movie.
A horror movie of one sort or another. Maybe you can get into a celebrity death match with Winnie the Pooh or something. So that's what you got, Chris?
Yeah, that's what I got.
That's what he got. Okay. So let's go ahead and wrap this. We're actually getting done in a half hour, which is a good thing. Like I said, we have 2 more shows to do. We do have a chore of duty coming up where I'm going to be talking about, if you've ever heard the phrase, no justice, no peace, I'm going to take that apart and just rip it to little tiny rippy bits and explain to you why you can never have peace while you're pursuing justice. And it's why the United States is struggling so mightily right now. We'll talk about that on the chore of duty. Keep an eye out on that on your video feeds and your podcasts. It's what they're called. Meanwhile, we also finally have another episode of Backrack Video coming out. And Chris, what are we talking about on Backrack Video this week?
Lost Generation.
The Lost Generation.
Yes. How the early 90s gave basically family films some hope, dreams, and things that we do not get now.
Yeah. So, I can see that. So, we'll be talking about that a little further down. So, you got any final words for the Geo family, kids?
Keep geeking.
Keep geeking. Okay. Keep geeking for all I care. So, till next time, I'm Spike.
I'm Chris.
And y'all keep geeking out. Ta y'all.
Bye.